All right, guys, what's happening? If you were watching this, that means you were in the same boat that I was in. And that means you probably have prostate cancer and you're trying to figure out what to do. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Michael. I'm 48 years old. Well, no, I was diagnosed at 48. I just turned 49. I've had a very active lifestyle, physical job, play in a band, sexually active with my wife 2 or 3 times a week. You know, I was always on the go. What else? How did I come up with this situation here that you are in, like I'm in? I went to the doctor for a physical. I have a family history of prostate cancer. My father and my uncles on his side. Went in for a physical, and I thought the doctor had been checking my PSA, but he hadn't. So my wife happened to go with me on this physical, and he was actually testing for something else. So the wife asked, had he been checking my PSA levels? He said no. And we went through the whole family history thing, and he said, well, we'll do the blood work on this physical. Had that physical, and my numbers came back 8.7 on my PSA. I know some of you are like, wow, that's pretty high. It is pretty high considering where you're at and how certain doctors feel about that number. Definitely you want it close to zero. If 0 or below a 4 or 2, you know, I don't know. I just knew 8.7 was astronomical and I panicked. So when I got that number, I contacted my physician and he was just like, hey, don't freak out. You can have an enlarged prostate. I said, okay, cool. He said, I'm going to refer you to a urologist and you'll go from there. Went to the urologist, sat and talked to him, told him about the family history. He wanted to do a biopsy based on the number and the family history. So went to have the biopsy. That's a whole other story, but if you have questions about that, you can leave a comment below and we can kind of talk about what the biopsy was like. But the biopsy, long and short, takes samples from the prostate, 12 samples. Out of the 12 samples, 2 of mine came back hot for the cancer gene. The other 10 needles came back undetected. One section had 2% of the cancer gene. The other section had 15%. So we were going to do an active surveillance based on the number and the biopsies being so low. So they gave me a Gleason score of 6, which isn't bad. And we were going to do active surveillance every 6 months to a year. What they also do is send out your biopsy for genetic testing. And they did that for me. And about a week later, I got a call from the doctor and said, hey, you got your genetic testing back. In order to stay on active surveillance and watch it for every 6 months to a year, your number has to be below a 25. My number was a 39. So it was an aggressive form of cancer within the prostate. So he couldn't guarantee that that cancer would remain in the prostate 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever, 18 months from now. So we had to make a decision out of the many decisions there are for prostate cancer surgery. I chose to do the robotic prostatectomy just to get the prostate out, to get the cancer out, hope that it's all contained within there and just be done with it. The wife wanted it out. I was leaning towards the radiation, but because of my age, only being 48, the doctor thought the side effects would show up from radiation sooner. And because of my active lifestyle, I didn't have any side effects. I didn't have the getting up in the middle of the night to urinate. You know, there wasn't any sexual or erectile dysfunction going on. There was just no side effects. It just happened. I went in for a physical. My numbers were high and bam, it was there. So he suggested because I hadn't had any side effects and everything was good, radiation would show up 10 years down the line and I would start seeing the ugly effects of that. And something to do with radiation, I guess it kind of leaves scar tissue if you do radiation, something like that. And then there's a thing where they prefer to do the robotic prostatectomy, and then if something comes up later, they can do radiation. Something like if they do radiation first and then have to do the prostatectomy, there tends to be scar tissue in that area when they go in to do the surgery. And that radiation kind of distorts that area when they go in to remove the prostate if they have to do that if you choose to do radiation first. So I chose to go with the robotic prostatectomy first. What else I need to say? That's pretty much it. Life prior to the surgery, I'm not going to lie, a lot of things go through your head. It's cancer, you know. Number two, it's our manhood in that area. And you out there, like me probably, we identify our manhood by what's down there. Not saying, you know what I mean? We've lived with this forever. You know, here it is 48 years, and I'm going to have to go through this process of my friend not waking up with me in the morning. And, you know, you think about stuff like that. You think you identify with yourself sexually. You identify with this anatomy of yours as your manhood. So it's a lot. You got to digest it. Don't make a rash decision on what to do. Think about it. There's radiation. I just heard about a new treatment yesterday where they're doing a different surgery where they're not having to, I'll figure it out. I'll put it in the description below. I just saw another gentleman share about it today, and I thought it was pretty amazing. But it helps, however they do this newest surgery, it helps with incontinence better. It helps you rebuild from that faster, the incontinence phase. But like I said, it's cancer, and it's real. So you're going to go through a lot mentally. You're going to go through a lot physically. Prior to this surgery, I was hanging out a lot. Me and the wife were going out a lot. I nicknamed myself Thunder Black because it was like Thunder Black's last ride, and I was going to go out with a bang and hang out and, you know, just do whatever and get crazy and live life, because you go into this kind of like, oh my gosh, this is it phase. So I just kind of wanted to give you an introduction of where I was at and why I wanted to do these videos. And then the next video after this, I will talk about my surgery, which has already happened. But the reason I really want to do this video is to give you guys, the viewer, just like myself, when I was looking for questions with a little bit more detail, I wanted a little bit more intimate answers from everybody. And it was really hard to find that. It was also hard to find a video with men my age. You know, 48, I know I'm not 20, but 48, I'm still feeling kind of leapfrog. You know, I still want to get out there and run with the best of them. And a lot of men that the videos I did watch, they were in their 60s or higher. And, you know, I just wanted to make sure they weren't really talking about the things that I wanted to know about in more detail. And also, you know, I heard that this cancer runs predominantly more in black men, which I don't know why. It just happens to be that way. But eventually, men will get it as the older they get. If this is the cancer you have, if this is the cancer that you get, they say this is one of the most treatable cancers out there. So consider that as a blessing while you're going through this. And I know I did, and it's rough, but it's still cancer, but it's one of the most treatable. So I just want to make this video and kind of just touch on that, share some things that are really intimate about us as men, what I was feeling about my journey, the questions you may have, the thoughts you may have. You know, it's just like the thoughts are just all over the place. But I will say this, and then we'll move on to the next video. You need a great support system around you when you go through this. Do not try to do this by yourself if you can help it. Have somebody around you. Have good friends around you, family. You're going to need that support system. You're going to need those people you can call. And you're just going to need help with the recovery period, especially after surgery. You know, it's everybody on the videos were like, oh, it's great. The surgery was great. It wasn't that hard. You know, I pulled right through it, this and other. But you have to remember, it's a major surgery and nobody's guaranteed to make it smoothly through a major surgery. So you want the right people around you. You want a great support system around you. and you just want to be surrounded by a lot of love. So, and that support system will help you make the best decision for you. So number one, do your research, find out what's good for you, get a great support system around you. And I'm going to do my part to share my journey with you very transparently so that you out there can have all your questions answered. God is love. God will pull you through. God is pulling me through. It's not easy, but with the great support system and the man above, we can all do it together. See you in the next video. God is love. Peace.